All right, thank you. Somebody responded. Thank you, Sister Andy. All right. Daniel chapter 3. You remember last week we were talking about the fiery furnace. We're talking about God taking us through the furnace and how going through the furnace, it can look like the end of your life.
Come on now.
But when you decide to be faithful to God, God can take your toughest moment in your life and turn it into a blessing.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
You can get a promotion out of what looks like certain death or defeat. Amen?
Amen.
So we talked about that last week, and there was this one verse that just kept ringing in my mind. Just kept ringing. But first, let me read the last verse. Verse 30 of chapter 3. It says, "Then the king caused Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to prosper in the province of Babylon." That's from the New American Standard. In King James, he says, "Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon." And so, after they came through the fire, where there was not even the smell of smoke on them, they got promoted. We also talked about the fact that the king actually made a decree, made everybody serve God. And so we talked about that's why we have a First Amendment, to make sure that no government forces you to worship God. That sounds like defeatist, but it's true. Not even God forces you to serve him.
Right.
He gives you the opportunity to. Why? Because any other kind of worship isn't real worship.
Right.
Any other kind of love isn't real love. Ladies, please get that through your heads. And men, you can't force somebody to love you. And if they don't, they don't. What's that lady? What's her name? Last name Ray or something like that. She got a song like that. You can't make me love me. I can't make you love me or something like that. Bonnie Ray, you know. And I love the one guy who did it over. And he made that song's terrible. That song's good. But basically, it's a good song.
Yes, it is.
You can't make somebody love you.
Okay.
And God doesn't want the government forcing you to love him. Nor does he want the government forcing you giving him money.
Okay.
Right.
You should watch. You want to get somebody mad? Talk about giving in church. Oh, talk about tithes and offerings. People get mad and they'll leave a church. And in fact, I love when I be watching some of the things I watch. You know, I like reading the comments because it shows you the heart of the nation. And people are always talking about money. You know, and money. I don't think they should get money. You know, listen. But notice everywhere in the Bible, God says, "Let him that have a willing heart."
That's right.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's what I say all the time.
That's true.
Let him that have a willing heart. So I don't know why preachers stand up all the time badgering people, begging people, trying to make you put money in your offering tray. That's why I say, if you want to bring to your offering, bring it. If you don't, don't.
Okay.
Right? And so they went through all this stuff, but I want you to go back in chapter 3. Go to verse 16. I want you to see something. But we went past that, and we didn't spend enough time there. Now, he told them, when you hear the sound of all these musical instruments, you're supposed to bow down before the statue and worship it. Remember that? Well, there's always some hard-headed people. You know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I don't know where Daniel was at this time, but I can assure you Daniel didn't bow either. Okay? But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't bow down. They did not do what the government told them to do. Who have I heard of such a thing? But they didn't do it. So the king came up. When they told the king about it, the king's, one translation said he got purple in the face. He was mad. He was furious.
That's mad.
He said, go get them brothers and bring them here. Right? Brought Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to him and said, look, tell me it ain't so. Tell me it ain't so. Is it so that when this music played, that you're not doing what I told you to do? I tell you what. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
All right.
I'm going to strike up the band again. Okay? When I strike up the band and they start playing, he said, look, you just do what you're supposed to do. Do what I told you to do. Now listen, let's suppose that it was you and me standing there. And let's assume that we didn't bow the first time. Because in today's world, I ain't sure. Because boy, we bow to anything at any time. We will bow to anything at any time. Why? Because we don't want to be the odd man out. Because we don't want people looking at us. We don't want anybody accusing us of not going along. We don't want anybody saying we party poopers. All right? So we're willing to go along with anything. So that's why I said, assuming you didn't bow the first time. So I can tell you, I wouldn't have bowed the first time. Okay? But I'm assuming, because you come to integrity, you wouldn't bow either. So here we are, integrity. We're standing there. And the man said, look, I'm going to give you a second chance. Now look at verse 16. Here's what they said. New American Standard says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to give you an answer concerning this matter. Now, let me explain what he's saying there, so you don't get confused. He's saying, you ain't got to ask me again. You don't have to say, I'll give you a second chance. You saw what I did the first time. You don't have to come ask me again. Isn't it amazing what people will do to you? I'm talking about Christian people. How many chances they'll give you to compromise. How many chances they'll give you. The devil will give you many, many opportunities to compromise. To change your stance on God. To get along with the program. And I love what they said. Well, whoa, okay. We ain't got to have this conversation.
Right.
We don't have to talk about this. I've already told you by my actions where I stand. And I do mean stand. Okay? So he's explaining to them, look, why are we here? Why are we replaying this thing again? We don't have to do all that. I can save you some time. King James says, I don't have to be careful how I answer you. I have to think about this again. I don't have to sit and think about this again. Why? Because my heart is already settled. My mind is already set. I know where I stand. I know in whom I believe. We don't have to talk about this again. That's why I keep telling people all the time, you need to make your mind up. And you need to do it now. Because you're going to face a test like this real quick. Well, you're going to be given the opportunity to disobey God. To spit in God's face. To tell God that I am ashamed of you, God, before these people. Therefore, I'm going to do something else. I wrote down a couple of things. In other words, what he was saying was, I don't need to think about this. Why? Because I already thought about it. Okay? You heard me say this about dating. Dating is weird because there's no biblical example. It's not a biblical thing. It's one of our things. So I always tell people, before you go out on a date, you better go ahead and decide what's going to happen on the date. Because once you get in the back seat, and Teddy Pendergrass is playing, or Barry White, or those y'all who into Barry Manilow is playing, you know, it's going to be too late to decide. You need to decide before you go. If you're going to go to a party, you better decide before you go. Because at that party, they're going to be doing things that are unpleasant or unpleasing to the God you say you serve. So you better decide before you get there. Okay? You say, I don't need time to think. Look, I don't need time to pray about this. I love that about Christians. Whenever they get pushed up to a corner, they know the answer, but they'll get spiritual and say, well, let me pray about this. I don't need to pray about it. I already know. What was it, the request here? The request was to bow down before a false god. Anybody need to pray about that? I'm talking about Christians now. I shouldn't pray about that. Look, he didn't need to fast about it to get clarity from God. Let me do some fasting and praying. He didn't need to do any of that stuff. You know what else he didn't do? He didn't need to call a meeting of the deacon board to see what our position is as a church. He didn't need to call his elders together. He didn't need to call his church council together. He didn't need to call the denominational head to see what our position is on that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to become a part of anybody's denomination. See, because I would have to stand based on what the denomination says. And if the denomination all of a sudden decided that they wanted to start ordaining, then I have to go along with it. Because I'm in the denomination. Okay? He didn't say any of that kind of stuff. He didn't have to call the headquarters. He didn't have to go home and talk to his mama or nothing. He said, we don't need to talk about this. Look, he didn't have to ask what the church members thought about it. To see how they felt about it. Certain places they lose. I know certain pastors that have to do that. Why? Because the congregation rules. Okay? So they have to get permission of the people in order to do something. What a horrible place to be in. But anyway. So he said, look, we don't have to do this. You know where I stand. Let me ask you a question. Does the world know where you stand? Does the world know where you stand? Yeah. Look, on my job, when they were doing stuff, they knew what to come ask me to do and what to not ask me to do.
Come on now.
They knew. Because you mean Pastor? No, they knew who I was. They knew what kind of conversations to have around me. Oh, Pastor, you're so mean. No, I'm not. I'm a Christian. Oh, but you the pastor? No, I'm a Christian. If I wasn't a pastor, they still wouldn't have that around me. See, Shadrach, Abednego, they were just being themselves.
Right.
They weren't trying to be hard to get along. They were servants of the Most High God who said, thou shalt not make any graven images, and you shall not bow before them. He said, I'm a jealous God. You serve me and me only. That's what they were doing. The same thing every Christian should be doing.
Amen.
Not special Christians, but every Christian should be doing. So they're sitting there, and they're like, Why are we doing this? You don't have to tell me to come back next week, talk about it. To give me a chance to sit down and think of the complications or the implications of my decision.
Well.
Don't matter what the implications are. The question is, do I love God or do I not love God? That's the question. Okay? So, he said, look, we don't need to talk about this no more. You do what you're going to do. Because grab the following thing. You know, you throw us in there if you want to. Go ahead and light that bad boy up. We know that our God is able, and even if he don't,
Right. Amen. Amen.
even if he don't deliver us, we are not bowing down. Why? Because that's not who we are. We're Christians. Okay? Now, in this case, he dealt with Jews, but, you know, get what I'm saying. We know who we are. See, you can't be changing depending on where you at.
Amen.
They were in Babylon, but Babylon wasn't in them. See, you can't have a different answer depending on who you're talking to.
Well,
You know, having to look around and see who's looking. Well, you know, I'm on the job now, so I gotta, you know, this is my stance on the job because I'm on the job, and this is how I am on the job, or this is how I am when we have a family get together, because I know all my family don't feel the same way that I feel, so I have to change my answer and my position around my family because I don't want to offend my family. You know, I'm on the basketball court with these guys now, so my answer, if you ask me that same question tomorrow in church, I'll give you another answer. But today I'm on the basketball court. Yeah. See, on my business, you know, I got a different thing on my business. The way I do my business is different, but when I go to church, I do it different. No. Not if you for real.
Right.
Not if you for real. Right? Look, if I talk different when I'm with my boyfriend and my girlfriend than I do when I'm at church. So that's what got me thinking about that. So, but I stayed there too long already. Go to 1 Kings chapter 18. 1 Kings chapter 18. Don't worry, for those who are New Testament only Bible people, don't worry, we'll get there. But let's go to 1 Kings. Let's go to chapter 18. And let's go to verse 20. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 20. Verse 20 says, from the Amplified, says, so Ahab sent to all of the Israelites and assembled the prophets at Mount Carmel. 21, Elijah came near to all the people and said, how long will you be halt and limp between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. It says, and the people answered him not a word. That's my favorite part of the verse. And the people answered him not a word. Because the people believed silence was golden. The people believed that if they kept their mouth shut, that would keep them safe. But the people knew that he had them. Notice he says, how long will you be halt between two opinions? I brought this book up here as a word study because I was going to read this to you. I was going to read the definition, but if I do, I'll be too long. So I'll do it later. I was going to read to you that word halt. For our use today, we're going to talk about the fact that it's talking about, what's the word? Caught between opinions. Okay? How long will you be hesitant? You know what I'm saying? You know, you hesitate because you're caught between two things. You hesitate because you don't know. You can't make a decision. You're hesitant. Why? Because you're caught in between You don't really know. Okay? It means to waver in opinion. It means to fluctuate. Fluctuate. Fluctuating on your belief in God is a bad place to be.
Amen.
You can fluctuate on your favorite restaurant. Whether you like Golden Corral better than Chuck-A-Rama or not, you can fluctuate on that. Because that ain't important. But fluctuating on your opinion and your position in God is a bad place to be. It's a bad place to be. So he's asking the question, how long are you going to be stuck? And I love what he said. He said, look, if Baal is God, then follow him. Notice he didn't beg him not to follow Baal. He said, just make up your mind. Settle it within yourself. Settle it within your heart. Settle who you are and what you believe with God. Because see, fluffy stuff is just bad. And all of us need to do that. And while there's still a little bit of peace in our own hearts before insanity breaks forth like it's going to, you better settle in your heart where you stand.
That's true. That's true.
You better do it in time of peace, because when the war comes, you're going to be too scared to make a decision. That's why I be telling you to make decisions before you go out on that date. You know what tall, dark, and handsome gonna do when you get there. Don't that naive. You walk in there and the music's playing and the candles are lit. No, y'all not gonna play checkers. No, ain't gonna be no checkers playing tonight. Okay? If y'all's on the front porch and the screen and thing, there might be some checkers out there. But not now. And so you better make that decision before. You have to. Same thing when you go out with your friends. You know what your friends are like. You know what they like before you get there. They didn't become that way last night.
Come on now.
You know who they are. You heard them say it before. You know what they do. I love fishing. Love going fishing. I know other people who love fishing and going fishing. I have never gone fishing with them before. Why? Because I know the rest of them. I know the rest of the story. I know what they're like outside of fishing, in addition to fishing. And because of that, I don't want to be with them. We get back to work, we talk about fishing, but we don't ever go together. See, because I can go fishing without Coors Light being there. I can. I can go fishing without Bud Light being there. They can't. They can't. And I see what happens when Coors and Bud get flowing. I've seen what happens. So I don't go with them. Even though we both love fishing, I don't go. Don't ever plan on going. See why? Because I'm not caught between two opinions.
Well,
I've decided who I am. I know who I am.
well.
And if I have to walk alone, I'll walk alone. If I have to go fishing alone, I go fishing alone. I am not that lonely.
Come on.
I am not that lonely. I got enough respect for me. I like me. A lot of other people don't, but I do. I like me. I've decided who I am and what I'm going to do. And if I have to bend that to appease you, you ain't worth it.
Come on now.
Oh, that sounds so mean, don't it? No. I think I've had people ask me to do things that were unbiblical, and at first I was shocked that they asked me. What my next emotion was? I got mad. How dare you ask me? How dare you ask me to choose between you and God? How dare you ask me that? You know me. How dare, what were you thinking to even ask me that? That's crazy. That's crazy that you would ask me that. Like I'm going to make an exception for you. I love you more than I love God. And yes, I have lost friends. One of the boys that we raised got to do some time raising. He called us one time and he going to get married. Well, what stupid question did I ask? Right, first question I asked. Is she saved? Don't take it personal. I asked him the same question. Is she saved? Well, no. Then what do you want me to say? And we ain't heard from him since. That was years ago. He said, Pastor, but you lost. No. Don't even ask me dumb stuff like that. Why are you going to ask me to disobey God? Why are you going to ask me to participate with you in your sin? How little respect do you have for me?
Come on, Pastor. That's so true.
Y'all got to do the same thing. Don't just say go ahead for Pastor. You got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
People ask you to do things. You ain't got to think about it.
Come on.
Pastor, we don't, oh King, we don't have to think about this. We know what we believe and where we stand. We don't have to think about this. Well, I asked you on Monday and you said no, but I figured after a while you had some time to think about it, so I asked you again later. No, don't ask me again. See, saints of God, we're trying to help you here. Don't get down there. You hear me say it is better to prevent a forest fire than it is to try to put it out afterwards. And if you think that's a deep spiritual truth, go watch a forest fire. You'll get it. All it took was one little match. Now we got 100,000 acres on fire. People's houses are being burned up. Firemen may be getting killed. Animals getting killed. Why? Because you lit that little match. A lot easier to prevent it than to fix it after the fact. So, Elijah asked the question, how long are you going to be hard between? Why is this hard for you? Why are you battling that between if God is God or if Baal is God? And we're going to talk about Baal one day too. Because Baal ain't going nowhere. Baal ain't going nowhere.
No, he's right here.
He ain't going anywhere. That demon is still alive. And still doing the same things we were doing back then. The names have been changed to protect the guilty. Okay? But he's still doing the same things. And so, he's the point today is our heart needs to be settled.
Okay.
It needs to be set. We need to know where we stand. And listen, I'm not even arguing with you what your decision is. I'm simply saying make it. That's all. I'm not even. We preach the word so that you will see the word of God and stand on the word of God. But if you're going to stand, stand.
Hearer and doer of the word.
Okay? If you're not, then go. Do what you're going to do. Ooh, thank you. That's what I just thought. Remember what Jesus did? He got his disciples sitting there. And he tells Judas, who's one of his disciples, go do what you're going to do. Right? It's going to be you. Go do your thing. All this time you've been with me. All this time you've seen, you heard, you've tasted and seen of the goodness of God. Yet you still want to do what Satan tells you to do. He said, go do it. You're going to do it. So he says, how long are you going to be hot between two opinions? Okay, let's give you one. Remember the we call it call to worship. It talks about you turn my mourning into dancing. This word here for halt, that's what it means to leap for joy, to hop around. That's one of the things. It's tied with the word. It's Pesach, P-A-S-A-C-H. We know the word Pesach, P-E-S-A, which is Passover. The words are tied together. Oh, goodness. Man. So in other words, you and I ought to be hopping and dancing for Jesus instead of limping between two things. Hello? We need to know where we stand and let it come. Notice what he says. Look, we made up our mind, and whatever happens is fine with us. Okay? Whatever happens is fine with us. We know God can deliver us, but even if He don't, we've already made our decision. We've already made our decisions. Okay? Boy. Let's go to James chapter 1. James chapter 1. There's a whole bunch of good stuff here. Now I want to show you something. This is why I tell you to read your Bible. You think I'm telling you to read it because I want you to pay Bible dictionary, or just in case you go on the Steve Harvey show, Family Feud, and they ask a Bible question, you'll have the answer. No. It's because the more you read, the more you see how God ties everything together. The more you see that there's one God, not a whole bunch of gods. And then even when the people say that it was written by men, no, there's one writer. It's all spirit breathed. The Holy Spirit wrote this. He used men to be the writers. But he wrote it. And it's one story. I said it's one story. Okay? James chapter 1. Let's go to verse 5. Oh, I just love to amplify. James chapter 1 verse 5 says, any of you are deficient in wisdom, let him ask of the giving God, who gives to everyone liberally and ungrudgingly, without reproaching or faulting, or it will be given to him. So he says, if you lack wisdom, King James, let him ask God. He says God isn't bothered by your asking. You ever asked somebody a question until that you were getting on their nerves? That they really didn't want to talk to you? That's not God. When you ask him a question, he wants to tell you. He's blessed by the fact that you asked. Because so much we do without asking. I say he's blessed by the fact that you asked. A good father is blessed when their child comes up and asks them something. They feel blessed. So I keep on going. Verse 6 says, only it must be in faith that he asks with no wavering, no hesitating, no doubting. Halt between two opinions. For the one who wavers, hesitates, doubts, is like the billowing surge out at sea, that is blown hither and thither and tossed by the wind. Being halt between two opinions. Needing to think about everything before you give an answer. Needing to look around and see who's there before you answer. Because depending on who's there, your answer will change. Sticking your finger in your mouth and holding up to see which way the winds are blowing. As to how you answer the question.
Well.
Shout at me, shake me, so you ain't got to ask us again. Well, we ain't going to change what we say.
Well.
The additional pressure you're putting on us isn't going to change our answer. Because we know who we are. Verse 7 says, so truly let not such a person imagine that he will receive anything he asks for from God. For being as he is, listen verse 8, as he is a man of two minds. Double-minded. A man of two minds. Two minds ain't good. In fact, they got a medical psychotic condition about two minds. In fact, you don't want to, they got more than that. I thought of civil. We don't want to be civil as Christians. We don't want to have multiple personality disorder. And it's called disorder. We don't want to be that way as Christians. Where our place and our position depends on who we're talking to. Now this is slightly different, okay? But I remember back in the day, there was this one lady who I actually thought was a nice lady. I mean, and I still do. But she was about as moody as they come. So whenever she walked through the doors of the church, I would wait to see what mood she was in. Because it depended. Listen, folks, being moody is not a good thing.
Amen.
It isn't.
Amen.
You may look at it as your strength. You may look at it as your strength. In other words, it's the way you control people, but that's witchcraft. Okay? Everybody got to wait and see what mood you in. Everybody in the house scared what mood you in today. I'll keep on going. I told you that's slightly to the side, but it's the same principle. For being that he is a man of two minds, hesitating, dubious, irresolute. I love that. Irresolute. We need to get some resolved on our issues as to what we believe and where we stand. It says, he is unstable and unreliable. He is unstable and unreliable and uncertain about everything. Everything he thinks, he feels, he decides. King James way says he's unstable in all his ways. That's not supposed to be us. We need to decide where we stand. You know? But Pastor, you don't understand. My job requires me to do this. Maybe you need to think about sailing, take me away. You know? No job is going to make me deny God. No job is going to make me become a professional liar. See, that's what the crazy stuff that's going on with you having to accept people for what they say they are. What they're telling you is you're going to have to lie with them. Because they're lying to themselves. Now they're telling you that you got to join their lie. I believe I can fly. No, you can't. Yeah, you can't fly. You can't fly. Not unless you get something to help you fly. But you can't fly. And it behooves me to tell you you can't fly before you climb up on that roof and jump. If I love you, I'm going to tell you the truth. You can't fly. You got to be nice and whatever they believe, you go with it. No. Your insanity is not my insanity. Your make-believe is not my reality. Okay? I love the fact that the fellas, in the midst of great trial, they said, we ain't got to think about this. I love the fact that when Elijah's standing there, he tells the people to make a decision. Don't go back and forth between two positions. Now, in Revelation 3:5, he tells you the same thing. He's talking to the Laodicean church. The Laodicean church is the last of the 7 churches. That's the time period that we're in right now. What is the Laodicean church? It's the lukewarm church. But he tells them, I'd rather you be cold or hot. That's what he tells them. People love the hot part, but God said, no, I'd rather you be cold than to be lukewarm. Well, because lukewarm, I'm just going to spew you out of my mouth. You make me upchuck. You make me puke. That's what God said. You make me puke. Why? Because you can't decide. You can't decide. We laugh all the time about them, but think about the children of Israel. All the stuff that they saw. They will go from one thing to the next. And they always lied. All that the Lord has said, we will do. Give them 15 minutes later, they be doing something crazy.
Yeah.
Back and forth. Say, I would never be like that, but we are. Didn't know who it is. I've watched so many pastors, some of which I never had much respect for anyway. I'm not saying, I never talked about them bad, but they were not my kind of folk, put it that way. And then a lot of them who I really did think were, but I'm watching them even now, the way they're dancing the dance. Because they don't want to say the wrong thing. They can't bring their mouth to say that these people are evil, but they'll talk about somebody's tweet. They ain't got the nerve to talk about all the crazy stuff that's happening right now. They're going to stand before God. You're going to stand before God. I'm going to stand before God. And I'm going to give an answer. And remember when he said that if you be ashamed of me before men, I'll be ashamed of you before my Father in heaven? That still applies. I said that still applies.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed. That still applies. And so a lot of these folk who dance in the dance, they're going to have to give an account. Just like I am. That's why my mind's already made up. See, I've already lost a bunch of friends just this year. Just this year, new ones that I lost. I got some friends who haven't spoken to me since 2008. Why? Because in 2008, I told them, when they were going, yes, we can, I was going, no, I ain't, no, I ain't. And they ain't spoke to me since then. And even with all the proof that's come forth, they still don't believe it. Yeah, they were, yes, we can, I was going, no, I ain't, no, I ain't. And so, understand that you're going to have to make them kind of decisions, and you need to go ahead and make them, because what's that old Fram commercial? You can pay me now, you can pay me later. Come. You can pay me now, you can pay me later. Let me read this last verse. James chapter 4, verse 8, since you was already James. James 4:8. It says, come close to God, and he will come close to you. Recognize that you are sinners. Get your soiled hands clean. Realize that you have been disloyal, wavering individuals with divided interests. Purify your heart of your spiritual adultery. He calls it spiritual adultery. He calls it spiritual adultery. What do you mean? Playing back and forth. Let me read what King James says, because I knew that was too deep. King James says, draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, and you're double-minded. You double-minded. In other words, you got to decide. You can't go back and forth. You can't be between two opinions. You can't sit down and make decisions based on who's there and what's happening and how it looks and How is it going to work out for me? The decision needs to be made. Because the heat's going to be turned up. I said the heat's going to be turned up. The decision needs to be made. And I would suggest to you that you think long term. I suggest that you think long term. Because short term gratification will turn into long term misery. I'd rather take the short term misery and receive the long term blessing. Okay? I'd rather lose a few here and gain eternity. Than gain a little here and lose eternity. That's how you got to think. Because nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. So settle your heart. Settle your heart. Amen? We're going to stop right there. So, Father, we want to thank you today that you're speaking to us as your people, that we need to settle our heart. It's nobody else's fault. It's nobody else's issue. It's my issue. It's my heart. Not my mama's heart, my daddy's heart, not them people over there's heart. It's my heart. So, Lord, examine us. And if you find anything, Lord, that shouldn't be in us, we give you permission now, Lord. Free us. Free us. Free us. We lay down all that double-mindedness. We lay down all that. We don't want to be like Jacob, the schemer, the planner, the supplanter, the one who's always conniving, trying to figure out how does it benefit me? How can I get the most out of it for me? We want to be the ones that honor you. Even if it costs us everything, we'll obey you, Lord. If it costs us a promotion, we obey you. If it costs us some friendships, we'll obey you. If it costs us some family stuff, we'll obey you. If it costs us some money, we still choose to obey you. If it costs us our life, we decide to obey you. We ask your forgiveness, Lord, for wavering back and forth. We ask your forgiveness, Lord, for having to change our position depending on who was there. We ask your forgiveness, Lord, for changing our opinion based on how we felt in that moment, whether it was safe or not. You told us to be instant, in season, and out of season. So, Father, please forgive us. And we want to be strengthened in you. We want to be strong in the power of your might. We do not deny that there's a battle going on, because indeed there is a battle going on. But we say we're able to overcome by you. You are our deliverer. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So we submit ourselves to you. And we decree today we will resist the devil with all that we're worth. Because we choose to walk with Jesus. Father, if there's anyone who does not know you as personal Savior, today we ask and give an opportunity that you would ask the Lord to forgive you. Ask the Lord to become your Savior and your Lord. And say, yes, Lord, I will follow you. So we thank you, Lord.